Well, let me reintroduce you folks to the 1985 Pontiac Perisienne. Now, I've mispronounced it several times before. This has given us a little troubles here. Our next step is to get some tires that hold some air. And I have tires to put on these wheels, but these hubcaps have locks. And with the small amount of sockets I brought to possibly hammer over them to get them off, those sockets do not work. I only have one socket that was pretty close, so my next option is to pop this trunk and hope to find the key in the trunk because it's not anywhere else in the car. I'll hit the trunk button here. Okay, that's probably electronic, so silly me. I don't know if it's closed all the way either, actually. Ooh, and it's ooh, so that works. I'll try and dig around here in a little bit. So, no dice on finding the key in the trunk, and I'm hoping that it'll fit nicely around that socket. I might end up breaking it, but I'll get an extension on this and try and hammer it on. I was hitting her with the old big sledge here. I think that's at least an 8-pounder. And then it seemed to have sunk the socket, and extension's pretty good in there. So I'm not really sure what I messed up, but I think it's got a good bite now. Not hard to turn. I mean, hopefully I got it. I mean, it seems like something's threading off, but I don't think it's threading back anymore. So maybe I will get something to kind of pop that hubcap off. Or maybe I'll just yank on it. What do we got in here? Come on, flathead. No, that might work though. Well, long story short, it looks like when I hammered this, it just kind of broke off. I think this is what holds the bolt, essentially, that the hub locks to. So I got her kind of spritz down with some WD-40, hoping nothing breaks when I take it off. So I'm gonna grab the right socket here. All right. Oop. Not on very tight. I like that. Okay. I didn't damage the hub cover deal, I guess, so that's good. Okay. I'm probably gonna have to do that for all of these. I guess I'll just have lockless hubcaps. I'm gonna try and see if maybe I can get it loose with my pliers and go from there. All right, so I just ended up getting the locks hammered off. Next I'm gonna unbolt all the locks. I guess I got the impact out. I'll grab my jack out of the car here. I'll get the front jacked up, get those tires off, and try and find some jack stands so I can get these wheels off. Try and get them sandwiched in here and take the wheels and tires to the tire shop and get them swapped out. So I was hoping to get the jack up front. You can see she's a little low and close to the ground, so it wouldn't fit under the control arm and definitely not in the middle. I was hoping to get it in the middle to get both tires up front out and get some jack stands up front nice, but the only place we could barely fit, and I kind of even clunked the frame trying to get it under there with the flat tires, is right here. Crunch, no crunch, don't crunch. So I'm not dead yet. Ooh, noises. Okay, well somehow getting her on there. Oh yeah. We got this off of our trailer, my trailer, sorry, by putting a tie strap on the tree and kind of pulling forward. Should have recorded it because we had a ramp up front on the passenger side come off, and the bumper kind of hit the trailer a little bit on the dovetail. Not a big deal, didn't hurt anything. You know, tough old classic car built like a tank. But we got the sandy silk crap where the jack sank probably, you know, inch or two. But I guess maybe this will stabilize it. I'm sure once I get all these wheels off, I'm gonna come back to it sitting flat on the ground, and then I'm not sure what I'm gonna do then. Hopefully they all kind of break free off the hubs. I think back axles typically are worse, I think. Well, I got the other side off. What I thought was cool was how these fender skirts come off. Kind of cool how these work, pretty simple. And there's this little metal thing, I already unhooked it, but you just kind of push up and out, and then you can pull this down and this hinge comes off. And then there's a kind of a peg back here, and up here there is two to kind of hold it in. Ooh, that did it, I guess. We still have the pin there, and there's that little hook where this, I guess, just kind of sits up in so it's straight. I'm gonna spray everything down with some lubricant to make sure it all stays working good. I'll get them off, get them in the car, and then we'll see how that looks once I have 8 tires in this little Honda Fit. So last night, phone died. I ended up getting the tires and everything on. They got all changed last night, thankfully. My buddy was working at the tire shop, so they got me in right away. And so I got them in, bolted on, put the hubcaps back on and everything. Just, of course, after the whole lock break experience, the locks aren't gonna function, but I did a little more investigating last night too. I'll bring you in to show you that. But what I kind of gathered here is we need to utilize some of this. There's no legit inline filter for the fuel, so it must just be these smaller kind of fiber paper filters just right inside the carb on the front of it. I got a couple just in case, you know, it gets crapped up, clearing it out, the rest of the line, whatever. And fuel pump. First things first though, that old crappy fuel that was discovered in there, which of course is gonna have old crappy fuel being that it's sat for, you know, 14, 15 years. So what we did here was we took off the fuel line and it threads into this, and then this larger portion threads into the actual carburetor there. And then out came the old fuel filter, which is sitting in there, and there's a spring in there, and pushing back on the fuel filter. I threw it away because it was stinky and gross and old, but it wasn't all gunked up and all cruddy or anything like that. But I had my friend crank it over as I was watching the fuel come out, and it was all kind of brown and garbagey looking and just no good. I mean, obviously it's been sitting a while. I just wanted to make sure that the pump was actually working, and it just seems to be pretty dang weak because it cranks a little bit and then some fuel kind of spits out, and there should be much more fuel being pushed out through there. So put the filter on after I drain the tank, and I have 5 gallons of 91. And I'm going to put seafoam in it, you know, all that good old school stuff. I'm going to put that stuff back on with the new filter and try and crank her over and get her to pop. See if we can get her to run today.